Part 10. The Strongest Assassin in the Server. Author, B.A. Wang-Shi-san. Chapter 91. I wonder how much this skill can be sold for. Tank smacked his lips and muttered. Who knew that? Ye Chen turned around and handed him the skill book. Give it to me. Tank was startled, his face became strange, and all kinds of emotions flashed through his heart, including excitement, uneasiness, fear, and touching. It can be said that he had mixed feelings. At his current level, he could not measure the specific value of the Dark Surge, because he did not know the bottom line of some top gods and super rich people, but no matter what, it would be no problem to exchange it for an ordinary BMW. But Ye Chen handed it to him so unexpectedly, which made him feel a little helpless, and his heartbeat was slightly rapid. Your investment is a bit big. If I can't play it, don't blame me. Tank smiled casually, suppressing the excitement in his heart. It's a pity that the trembling tail tone still betrayed his nervousness. Ye Chen gave him such an important skill to learn, which meant that Ye Chen had already determined that the main MT of his elite group was him, Tank. In fact, Tank was very confident in his own strength before, but since he saw Ye Chen's methods, he immediately felt the truth that there are always people who are better than you, and there are always better things. The reason why he is nervous now is that he is afraid that he will disappoint Ye Chen's expectations. Can't play? Then I will sell you to be a gigolo. With your physique, even if I can't make back the money, I can at least lose less. Ye Chen joked. In fact, he was not worried that Tank would not be able to play, because in his previous life, Tank played games while attending school, and he still achieved very good results. Then in this life, there is a prophet like him to guide him, and sooner or later he will fool Tank into becoming a full-time player. With this double insurance, it is difficult for Tank not to remember. On the other hand, Ye Chen has strong personal ability, and he can do many things that others cannot do. But Dream World is a team game after all, and there are more things that cannot be done by one person alone. Elite Group is the basic condition for taking root and developing in the game. In the Elite Group, the Shield Warrior, or MT, is the most important position, no doubt about it. A strong Shield Warrior means a strong team. It just so happens that the Tank is a very potential Shield Warrior. Who else can Ye Chen raise if not him? So, whether for the sake of his brothers or for himself, Ye Chen will definitely raise the Tank. As for the skill of Dark Surge, since it is a special skill that is not restricted by profession and level, if Ye Chen wants, he can also learn it. But the super auxiliary skill of the Magic Circle is really not suitable for thieves to learn. A chance to be a duck? Tank, isn't this your dream? To realize your dream, you must stop playing. Congratulations, brother, you are about to realize your dream. Ye Chen made a joke, and Monkey and Fatty quickly followed up, making all kinds of misleading remarks, which made Tank, who was originally a little nervous and uneasy, suddenly cheerful and full of dirty words. To die under the peony flowers, to be a ghost is also romantic, and being squeezed dry has always been my dream. But I know that you guys are all single and losers. In order to take care of your emotions, I am willing to postpone the opportunity to realize my dream for a few more years. Get lost. Only in terms of the attribute of Li Amang, Ye Chen and the other two together are not the opponents of Tank, the stinky Li Amang. After laughing for a while, Ye Chen led everyone out of the pyramid. Back to the desert, they found a very interesting monster, the desert camel. This big guy is not an ordinary monster, but a mount-type pet. In Dream World, mounts are also classified as pets. The knight profession has a riding skill at level 10, and can be the first to experience mounts. For other professional players, the riding function will be enabled at level 30. At the same time, the battlefield-related mercenary system will be enabled at level 30. The so-called battlefield means that the two camps of light and darkness are about to go to war. Players who kill the enemy camp can get merit points. Sufficient merit points can upgrade the mercenary level. Low-level soldiers, mid-level soldiers, senior soldiers, second lieutenants, lieutenants, captains, and then colonels, generals, and marshals. In addition, officers above the colonel level are not eligible to ride in any main city. Tank, cooperate with me to catch the camel. Ye Chen said. Although he can't ride now that he has encountered a rare mount, there is no reason for him to let it go. You know, the ancient ruins are very large. Although you can explore them at level 10, there are also many high-level monster areas and exploration areas. With a desert camel, it will be very convenient. Why catch it? You are not a knight and you can't ride it, Tank said helplessly without knowing. However, he complained, but he did go forward to attract aggro and take down the monster. Ye Chen smiled, and without further explanation, he began to throw traps. This catch took a long time again. The others waited for a while, and left first out of boredom, and continued to go to the first floor of the pyramid to clear out the slimes. When Ye Chen caught the desert camel, it was already 8 o'clock in the evening. Oh my God, I have been holding this shield for almost 3 hours. It seems that I have to find a girl to massage it tonight. Tank shook his sore arm and said intentionally or unintentionally. Of course, this kind of pain is just a feeling in the game and will not affect the body in reality. The reason why Tank said this is obviously to remind Ye Chen, you said you would treat us to dinner, singing, and health care tonight, so don't go back on your word. Okay, I'll log off now and get ready to go, Ye Chen said, contacted Monkey and Fatty, and then went offline. After tidying up his appearance and clothes and making sure that he was really handsome, Ye Chen looked at the time and walked out of the room quickly. Yun Haitian said that he would pick up Yun Chiener tonight at 8 o'clock. Now it's past 8 o'clock. Will she have left? However, as soon as he came out of the room, he saw Yun Chiener sitting quietly on the sofa in the living room with red eyes. Next to her was a packed suitcase. In the past half-month, she bought a lot of new clothes and other items, but now she only took away a suitcase. Did she want to remind him of her? Ye Chen smiled bitterly. Seeing Yun Chiener like this, he suddenly felt a strong reluctance in his heart, and there was a faint sadness of parting. He wanted to force a smile, but he felt a lump in his throat and couldn't laugh. In fact, before he went offline, Tank, Monkey, and Fatty had already deposited the proceeds from selling purple equipment into his account. A total of more than 16,000. And he had already deposited 90,000 into the new card he gave to Yun Chiener, and after depositing another 10,000, it would be 100,000. In other words, from then on, he had fulfilled the bet between him and Yun Chiener. Let's go, I'll take you there. Ye Chen walked over, holding the suitcase with one hand and Yun Chiener's hand with the other. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 92. This was the first time that Ye Chen openly held Yun Chiener's hand. The two walked side by side, no one spoke, and the atmosphere seemed depressing and dull. Looking at Ye Chen's somewhat lonely expression, Yun Chiener's heart was tightened helplessly. In fact, she had been waiting for Ye Chen to ask her to stay. Even if there was only one sentence, she would stay without hesitation. At worst, she could move to another place where her father couldn't find her. Unfortunately, Ye Chen didn't say a word, and the two walked to the gate of the community in silence. There was a luxury car parked outside the door, with the windows closed. Without guessing, Ye Chen knew that the car belonged to Yun Haitian. Until the end, Yun Chiener didn't wait for Ye Chen to speak, and her hot heart cooled down. She was so disappointed that she wanted to escape from here immediately. After taking the suitcase, Yun Chiener didn't look at Ye Chen again, turned around and left. As soon as she took a step forward, Ye Chen's somewhat low voice came slowly from behind. That, Ye Chen shyly turned his head and said, I have fulfilled the previous bet. A breeze blew, and Yoon Chiener's beautiful eyes suddenly widened and became crystal clear. The already wanton emotions in her heart began to ferment. Turning around, Yoon Chiener threw herself into Yechen's arms regardless of everything, sobbing, and tears rolled down like pearls that had broken off the string. "Why did you say it now, Woo? You know how worried I am. I knew you wouldn't give up so easily." Yoon Chiener cried and kept hitting Yechen's chest with her pink fists. She was clumsy and seemed to only know how to express her feelings in this way. Yechen was equally clumsy, but they finally opened their hearts to each other. Yechen raised a smile at the corner of his mouth and gently embraced Yoon Chiener in his arms. In the luxury car not far away, Yoon Haitian punched the steering wheel angrily, snorted disdainfully, and turned his head away, not wanting to look anymore. He just couldn't understand. His daughter had a good family background and unparalleled beauty, and she had countless suitors. In other words, his daughter was simply a perfect goddess, so why did she fall for a stupid thing like Yechen? Still hugging. After a while, Yoon Haitian turned around and saw that the two were reluctant to let go, with deep affection and no intention of letting go. "Damn, that guy actually took advantage of my daughter so blatantly." And in front of me, Yoon Haitian was upset and started to honk the horn. Beep, beep, beep. The two heard the sound and separated as if they were electrocuted, and their faces were slightly red. Yechen's face was thick, and it was not obvious in the slightly dim environment. "Yechen, I'll wait for you, no matter how long I wait for you," Yoon Chiener shouted a sentence, grabbed the suitcase and ran away shyly, with brisk steps, showing that she was in a very happy mood. I'll wait for you, hum in the car. Yoon Haitian pouted and imitated Yoon Chiener's sarcastic shouting twice, and then immediately snorted coldly. No matter what, he didn't think highly of Yechen. In his heart, Yoon Chiener's true love didn't have to be Gao Ming, but it would never be Yechen. Boom. After Yoon Chiener got in the car, Yoon Haitian started the car, rolled up crazy exhaust, and disappeared at the corner of the street in the blink of an eye. Yechen stretched out his left hand and gently clenched it twice, as if he could still feel the warmth of Yoon Chiener's palm. At this moment, he thought a lot in his heart. He was sure that he loved Yoon Chiener so much that he couldn't extricate himself, so no matter how many difficulties there were ahead, he would move forward straight and firmly. He took a step forward, and at the same time took the first step towards the glorious peak of his life. Late at night, KTV. Eating, the process of healthcare has passed. Yechen, Tank, Monkey, Fatty, these four brothers, yelled and drank in the box, and vented wantonly. The noisy, ambiguous, and chaotic environment made Yechen feel better. He was not very fond of love songs, but suddenly he felt that love songs were so gentle, beautiful, and the words were engraved in his heart. At noon the next day, Yechen woke up in a hotel and felt dizzy. He looked up and saw a cup of sobering tea on the coffee table, although it had cooled down. This was obviously made by the three brothers. Yechen felt warm in his heart, and he didn't care whether the cold tea was still effective, and drank it all. Those three guys should have gone back. It seems that there are classes today. Yechen got up and dressed, muttering to himself, but yesterday, he had instilled some ideas into the three people, which was actually to trick them into dropping out of school. That was a big boast, and he directly fooled the three of them, thinking that following Yechen was a very promising thing. So, they also made a decision, and the formalities will be completed in about 2 or 3 days. They also wanted to stay at Yechen's place first, but he ruthlessly refused. After all, how could Yoon Chiener live in the room where she lived? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Fatty has money, you can figure it out yourself, and the game warehouse matter should be implemented as soon as possible. I have been squeezed dry by you for the time being, but I can support you in a few days. This is what Yechen said at the time. After returning the card and leaving the hotel, Yechen took a taxi and returned home. He saw Bai sitting on the sofa watching TV. He smiled and touched the little Lolita's head, chatted with her for a while, and told her that Sister Chiener had moved out. The little Lolita burst into tears when she disagreed with something. "Don't cry, Bai. Your sister Chiener said that as long as you perform well in the new school and study hard, she will bring gifts back to see you." Yechen wiped away the little Loli's tears and lied with good intentions. "What gift? I'll go." Hearing the gift, Bai stopped crying, which made Yechen smile bitterly. "If I say it, there will be no surprise." Yechen smiled, and finally pinched the little girl's pink face, turned into the house and logged into the game. "System, your ranking on the Assassin Alliance's contribution list has changed, and it is now No. 2. Yechen just went online, and the system prompt sounded in his ears, which made his eyes slightly condensed. He immediately opened the contribution list. He wanted to see which fierce man could surpass him who completed the S-level task. No. 1, Bloodkill, level 13, Thief, contribution points. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, Ba Wang Shi-san. Chapter 93. Yechen's pupils shrank, and he scanned down again. Sure enough, he found that Ming Tian's contribution was only more than 1,300. After so many days, his contribution value did not increase much, and his ranking fell to more than 30 or 40 places. Very smart, Yechen couldn't help but praise. From the current situation, Ming Tian has given up the position of the chief this month and started to cooperate with Shueisha. Because of this, Shueisha was able to surpass him and raise his contribution value to more than. Damn, today is the last day of this month, October 31st. It is now 13:20 in the afternoon Beijing time. The next day, that is, November 1st, at midnight in the morning, the contribution list will be refreshed. Now he has very little time left. Crushing back to the city, Yechen quickly came to the Assassin Alliance and browsed the tasks on the notice board. Skip the low-level tasks and directly select A-level and above tasks to search. Of course, the branch of the Bayun City Alliance can only have S-level tasks at most, and there is basically only one per month. Yechen has completed the S-level tasks for this month, so there are only some A-level tasks left on the list, and the number is already very rare. The task list also shows the number of people who have accepted the current task. Yechen took a look and found that the number of people who have accepted most of the tasks has exceeded 1,000. Generally speaking, for tasks of the same level, the more people accept them, the simpler the task is. The fewer people accept them, the more difficult the task is. After all, most people are unwilling to waste time doing tasks that cannot be completed. To be honest, Yechen no longer has time to compete with those people, so he went to find some tasks that have few people accepting them, and finally found two. Assassination, Red Leaf Mage, A-level difficulty according to intelligence. A wandering mage came to Red Leaf Town. She called herself Red Leaf Mage and had the ability to awaken the Red Leaf Tree. Mission goal, kill Red Leaf Mage. Mission reward, 300,000 experience, 1 silver coin, and 1,500 contribution points. Theft, Crystal Ball, A-level difficulty according to intelligence. The High Priest of Bayun City has a precious crystal ball. Mission objective, steal the crystal ball. Mission reward, 500,000 experience points, 2 silver coins, 1,800 contribution points. These two missions are very difficult in the A-level missions. The first assassination mission has only a few hundred people taking it. The second one is actually a theft mission, and less than 100 people taking it. You know, although the Assassin Alliance is a thief alliance, theft missions are extremely rare, and they are mainly assassination and reconnaissance. Because, under normal circumstances, unless it is something very valuable, it will be coveted by people, and they will not hesitate to issue missions to steal it. Because of this, the level of theft missions is often very high. At least Ye Chen played Dream World for 2 years in his previous life, and he has never seen a theft mission below a level. For example, the current mission of stealing the crystal ball is to steal it from the High Priest. Damn, the High Priest is a level 80 hidden profession holy word mage. Stealing his things now? It's a death wish. It can be seen that theft missions are not only very rare, but also of high level and very difficult. You know, when a thief releases the thief skill, the other party will find out whether it succeeds or not. If the target is just an ordinary player, then it's fine. If he finds out, what can you do to me? But don't underestimate a level 80 holy word mage. At such a high level, how can he not have some perception? Of course. So when you, the thief, sneak up on him, he will know. Once you start stealing, he will kill you instantly with a skill. Of course, if you are prepared to fall back to level 0, then you will definitely be able to steal the crystal ball from the High Priest. And it's not just the crystal ball, you are simply invincible. Anyway, barefoot people are not afraid of those wearing shoes. Just keep stealing. I will come again after I am killed. Over time, your thief skills will become higher and higher, then what can't you steal? Of course, there are very few people like this who are two-faced. But, they definitely exist. In the previous life, there was a typical example. That guy is so crazy that he steals from everyone he sees. It is said that he has stolen from the 3 major camps of light, darkness, and neutrality. He is completely a rat crossing the street, and is hostile and targeted by all players. Every time they see him, players will never speak when they can, and when they can only speak, they will spit shit. The top of the homepage of major game forums and post bars has him spitting. There are even many big guys offering real rewards, right to chop? Tisk tisk, he can accomplish this in a game. To be honest, it is awesome. His ID is stealing a chicken but losing a rice. In fact, he did rise in the end, and became very awesome, and was respected by the world as the god of thieves. Because he completed a unique hidden task and obtained the unique title of the god of thieves, the success rate of the thief directly increased to 100%, and it increased the probability of stealing top quality equipment. In the end, he stole a growth type artifact from the hands of a divine beast. And it happened to be a dagger. From then on, he made a strong debut, rose against the sky, and eventually became one of the few top players in the entire Chinese theater. In the national war, foreign players were once beaten so badly that they could not raise their heads, which made China proud. This is the most classic counterattack of a loser in reality. His personality was whitewashed overnight and was loved by all the people. But this is a legend, an epic. Even if Ye Chen is starting over now, it cannot be replicated. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading. Because the King of Thieves is lonely, before he became famous, he was not understood by anyone, he only had enemies, no friends. So in the end, when he became famous, his personality was still very withdrawn, and he did not tell anyone the strategy for obtaining the title of thief. Because of this, Ye Chen never thought of taking the path of a thief, because this path was too bumpy. But now, the contribution list is about to be refreshed, and he picked and chose, and only these 2 tasks are suitable. So he really has to do this task of stealing the crystal ball. Fortunately, in addition to stealing from the High Priest, he has another channel for this task. The High Priest will leave the temple every 2 hours. He needs to go to the Tower of Death to recite the Bible and save the soul. This process lasts for 10 minutes. During this period, he will take off the crystal ball in advance and put it in a box. This is not an ordinary box, but a box with a light barrier. LV5 Thief, there is a certain chance to steal the crystal ball from this box. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, Ba Wang Shi-san. Chapter 94. Yuchin's thief skill is only LV1, because he has never used it before, and he has no proficiency at all. In a short period of time, ordinary people simply cannot upgrade their LV1 skills to LV5. But Yuchin is no ordinary person, he has 3 skill points. Although it is said that using skill points in the early stage is very wasteful, especially when used on rubbish skills like thieves, it is even more wasteful, and can even be said to be stupid. But he has no choice now. The contribution list is about to be refreshed. Compared with getting the chief job transfer and becoming an assassin, what does a few skill points mean? Time is limited. I will first upgrade the thief to LV2, and then directly use skill points to upgrade to LV5, Yuchin groaned, and seeing that Fatty Tank and others were not online, he called for help from the fire barrel. Not long after, the two of them returned to the city to meet up with Yuchin, because a practicing thief only needed the help of one person, and the fire torch was just right for setting up a stall to sell things. So, Yuchin started to use his thief skills on Big Tits and stole his things. Regardless of whether the thief succeeds or not, his proficiency will increase. Of course, if he steals something, his proficiency will increase even more. In addition, the better things you steal, the more proficiency you gain. Because Big Boobs is one of his own and will not resist, Yuchin practiced his skills comfortably. The only thing that's a bit hummed up is that the thief has a CD of 5 seconds, so there's nothing you can do about it, you can only practice slowly. System, you failed to use thief on the player's amazing milk volume and gained 1 point of proficiency. System, you successfully cast thief on the player's amazing milk volume, obtained low-level spring water *1, and gained 5 points of proficiency. System, you successfully performed the thief attack on the player, and obtained 3 copper coins and 3 proficiency points. System, you failed to use thief on the player's amazing milk volume and gained 1 point of proficiency. 3 hours. With a ding-dong sound, Yuchin's thief finally reached LV2, and then, with a heartbroken look on his face, he added all 3 skill points to the thief. System, your thief skills have been upgraded, currently LV3. System, your thief skills have been upgraded, currently LV4. System, your thief skills have been upgraded, currently LV5. After upgrading his skills, Yuchin used the thief technique on Big Boobs several times, and he succeeded every time. In addition to copper coins and junk materials, he even stole his blue staff. Haha. Yuchin laughed, returned the staff to Denai, then turned around and went to the temple. Showing the letter of introduction, Yuchin entered the temple smoothly, but he found that the high priest was still in the temple. Frowning, he couldn't help but find an NPC maid and asked, "Excuse me, how long has it been since the last time the high priest went out?" "The high priest just returned from the Tower of Death after saving the souls of the dead," the NPC maid said politely. "I'll go." Yuchin couldn't help but wailed. The high priest only went to the Tower of Death every 2 hours. He had hit the mark. In other words, he had to wait another 2 hours. Does it mean that I have to kill Master Hongyi first? Yuchin groaned, then shook his head. Hongyi Mage is a level 15 lord. The information says that he can resurrect red leaf trees, but in fact, he turns red leaf trees into red leaf tree spirits, which is very difficult to deal with. Put the easy things first and then the hard things. People will subconsciously put difficult things to do later. The same is true for Yuchin. Anyway, there is still plenty of time now. But now there was no option to wait any longer, so he turned around and left the temple, and came to the pet shop in Bayun City. In the pet shop, players can give their pets to NPCs to raise, and they will help upgrade the pets. Of course, the price is very expensive. Yuchin now only has 2 pets. Beautiful Snake Warrior, Heartthrob Lisa, Special Monster. Level, 10. HP 500/500. Skill, LV10 Soul Seduction. Desert Camel, Elite Monster. Level, 12. HP 800/800. Skill, Sand Throwing, needs to be used in the desert. Mount Effect, movement speed in the desert at 8%. Among them, the Desert Camel is a mount, and it can only be effective in the desert. It has no value in training at all. In other words, the only pet that Yuchen needs to cultivate now is Lisa. If he wants to upgrade her, he only needs to have her by his side to gain experience, so he does not need NPC to help him raise it for the time being. In addition, pets will also be sold, pet resurrection grass. You know, after a pet dies in battle, although it will not lose level, it will fall into a 24-hour sleep state. The pet resurrection grass can directly resurrect pets after use. Price, 10 silver. To be prepared, Yuchen first bought 10 pieces of pet resurrection grass, and then spent a whole gold coin to make Lisa a beautiful long blue hair to show that his Lisa was different from ordinary beautiful snakes. Changing the look like this is not exclusive to pets. Players can also go to fashion stores to buy fashionable clothes and style them. It's just that it doesn't consume game currency, but RMB, and it's very expensive. A complete set costs several thousand at least, and it doesn't add any attributes. Even so, there will still be many players buying this costume, which allows them to dress up in a modern fashion, because without showing off their weapons, it is difficult for outsiders to distinguish their occupations at a glance. Of course, the main consumers of fashion are still girls. Girls love to be beautiful and dress up, and they don't mind spending money. Just find a rich man to support you, act cute, and you will have a set of fashion. Some people with obsessive-compulsive disorder have to buy all the fashions. However, these things are useless to Yuchen, and he doesn't plan to buy a set of fashion for himself. After everything was done, Yuchen turned and came to the door of the temple, but did not enter. He just squatted in a corner, opened the auction house and started searching for level 5 purple clothes, and then bought them and upgraded them, and then mailed them to the 3 tanks to help sell them, although they are not online yet. For Yuchen, the only disadvantage of this auction house is that it cannot be sold anonymously. Time passed by minute, and after nearly an hour and a half, the high priest walked out of the temple and turned to the Tower of Death. The opportunity has come. Yuchen used stealth and rushed into the temple quickly. He came to the room of the high priest and found the dark golden box. 10 minutes later, the high priest would come back after the salvation, which means he only had 10 minutes. If he couldn't steal the crystal ball, he could only give up temporarily and kill the red leaf mage first. Fortunately, he was lucky today. About 5 minutes later, with a ding, he successfully stole the crystal ball. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 95. The task of stealing the crystal ball was completed, and Yuchen's contribution value in the alliance rose sharply by 1,800 points, reaching point. There was more blood-killing points, and it was just a matter of assassinating the red leaf mage. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow circled M. Seeing that Tank and others were not online yet, Yuchen did not wait for them. He opened the friend list and contacted Badong Rushan after a long time. Brother, you finally remembered us. Where are you going to take us to show off this time? Badong Rushan has been joking more and more recently, and has completely moved away from his majestic image. In Shitu's words, he wanted to experience a different self in the last time. While everyone was touched by the contrast, they felt more distressed. Yuchen had been with them for quite a while, and they were quite compatible with each other. He sighed in his heart, and then said with a smile, "I'll ask you to help me fight a boss this time. It's a bit difficult for me to fight alone. Of course, all the boss drops belong to you." "What are you talking about?" When the time comes, just take whatever you like. I believe Xiaoqi won't have any objections. That's the best. Ye Chen smiled, and did not postpone it. He agreed to meet with Budong Rushan in Hongyi town. After the chat, the smile on Ye Chen's face faded. The task was not completed yet, and he could not relax at all. Although with the help of Budong and others, he could be sure to complete this task. But now, he always felt a little uneasy, as if something was going to happen. In fact, he was right to have this worry, because the more tense the time, the more people would have this sense of crisis. And what he was worried about was about to happen. On the other side, Mingtian and Susha were brushing boss in a cave. They had obviously finished their mission journey, and for Susha, there was really no mission worth doing. There are only a few dozen A-level tasks left, and most of them have been accepted by a large number of players. They are definitely in the final stage of completion. Even if they go now, they will probably not be able to catch up. The only two tasks that they can catch up with are the theft of the crystal ball and the assassination of the red leaf mage. But these two tasks are extremely difficult, and even for them, they have to pay a lot to complete them. Especially for the task of stealing the crystal ball, they don't want to be killed back to level 0 by the high priest. More importantly, Shueisha's contribution is now the top, so he doesn't need to fight anymore. The only threat to him now is the anonymous player of No2, that is, Ye Chen. But as strong as they are, they still find these two tasks difficult, and that anonymous player will definitely be more difficult. Because of this, they have already put most of their hearts into their stomachs. At this moment, Shueisha is killing monsters, and occasionally he will open the contribution list to check the anonymous contribution value. You don't know until you see it, and you will be shocked when you see it. The contribution of that coward has suddenly increased by 1800, Shueisha almost jumped up. 1800. Mingtian was stunned, and casually opened his task list. He found that the task of stealing the crystal ball that he had accepted in advance had disappeared. Shueisha's reaction was no slower than his. The two looked at each other and narrowed their eyes slightly. It seems that this coward is not a weak hand. On the contrary, he is very strong. It seems that the last S-level task was not all luck, Mingtian said thoughtfully. One point is very critical, because after Ye Chen completed the task of stealing the crystal ball, his level still did not drop, which means that he did not die once. Just based on this point, he is enough to attract Mingtian's attention. Okay, I admit that he has a little strength. Shueisha raised the corner of his mouth and sneered, but he is still a coward. Even if he is a coward, you can see his true face when you go to Hongyi town, Mingtian said, and the two smiled at each other. With their strength, they can easily guess Ye Chen's next move. Do you want my help? Mingtian smiled playfully. How is that possible? I don't need to complete the mission, I just need to kill him and make him unable to complete the mission. I am invincible in the world, do I need your help to kill a person? You. He. Shueisha smiled, his eyes suddenly turned cold, he took a step forward, and the cold dagger accurately wiped the throat of the boss, and blood flowed in an instant, and the boss, who was already at low health, fell down. LV5 throat slitting, the probability of triggering a one-hit kill is really much greater. The slender fingers trembled lightly, causing the dagger to spin lightly on the fingertips, dancing out dazzling blood flowers. Shueisha chuckled, wiped the blood on the dagger casually, and put it into the copper sheath on his waist. Turning around, he didn't even have the interest to take a look at the boss's drop, his figure faded, and disappeared stealthily. From Baiyun City, there is still a little distance to Hongyi town. Ye Chen spent half an hour and finally arrived at Hongyi town to meet up with Budong and others. Master Ye, long time no see. When he was in the novice village, Ye Chen left a deep impression on everyone. Now that they met again, they also greeted each other with a smile. Even Xiaoqi, the arrogant and awkward guy, now smiled in front of Ye Chen. My task is to contribute to the alliance. It's the end of the month and everyone is rushing to do it in order to avoid any accidents. We should make a quick decision. Ye Chen nodded in response to everyone, and then formed a team and took the lead. He didn't worry about anything else, but he was afraid of Mingtian and Susha. Everyone's expression was restrained when they heard the words, and they followed closely. Hongyi Town is a quiet town. The streets on both sides are lined with red leaves. At a glance, there are red leaves everywhere, which looks very beautiful. However, no one could have imagined that these red leaves could turn into terrible monsters at any time under the spell of the Red Leaf Mage. Because it is just an ordinary town, there are no NPC guards patrolling the streets, but there are still some residents and various supply stores around. To put it bluntly, this is a wild area with supply functions. Players will not be punished for PK and killing here. Not only Hongyi Town, but also most towns and villages outside the novice village and the main city. You can kill people at will. Of course, even if you don't like some NPCs, you can kill them. But in that case, the major alliances will receive the news in minutes and immediately issue various wanted and assassination missions to you. The Red Leaf Mage is not included in this list, because she is just a wandering mage, not a native of the town. At the same time, she will not be taken care of by the alliance. A moment later, Ye Chen and others came to a wooden mansion. Looking from the outside, they could see that there were a lot of red leaf trees planted in the mansion. When the breeze blew, the red leaves fluttered, which was magnificent and looked like a fairyland on earth. Moreover, the red leaf trees in the mansion were obviously thicker than those on the street. Because of this, if they turned into red leaf tree spirits, they would become the best among them, that is, elite monsters. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 96. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. When Ye Chen and his companions arrived at Hongyi Town, Shueisha arrived shortly after them, following them closely. The two sides were no more than 500 yards apart. Looking at the team in front of him, Shueisha's face remained calm, without any ripples. He had long expected that Anonymous, that is, Ye Chen, would bring a team here, because this task was definitely not something that one or two thieves could accomplish. In other words, he knew that the other party would bring a team here, but even so, he still came alone, which showed how confident he was. Seeing that Ye Chen and his companions had already entered the wooden mansion, he smiled coldly and followed slowly. In any case, the other party had a large number of people and he was not stupid enough to fight hard. He needed an opportunity. And this opportunity, I believe the boss Hongyi Mage will create for him. On the other side, Ye Chen led his companions into the mansion, and saw at a glance that there was a giant tree in the courtyard that required 3 people to hug, with lush branches and leaves. The sun cast down, forming a shadow. In the shadow, there was a stone table. At this time, there was a charming woman in a fiery red robe, sitting on a stone bench and leisurely sipping tea. You light camps are old-fashioned. I have never stolen or robbed anything in Hongyi Town, and I have never killed or set fire to anything. I don't understand why you want to kill me. The charming woman, Hongyi, took a sip of tea carefully and chuckled, and even if you want to kill me, you can't count on a few of you, right? Hongyi's sarcasm was well formed, and everyone looked at each other in surprise. This boss is very intelligent, much more humane than ordinary bosses and even some NPCs. In fact, Hongyi is a special humanoid monster, at the same level as intelligent NPCs. Their intelligence is infinitely close to that of players, and they even have the ability to upgrade. And Hongyi is the best among them. Although her current level is not high, only level 15, her strength is far beyond the Lord Boss of the same level. Another point is that after she dies, she will not be resurrected again after 24 hours like other bosses. She is dead and there will be no next Hongyi. Because your magic can make these Hongyi trees suck the blood of the people in the town, so as to strengthen yourself, Ye Chen said coldly. Others don't know Hongyi's origin and background, but he knows that in the previous life, Hongyi almost killed all the NPCs in the town through this magic. When the players found out, Hongyi had evolved into a level 30 Gold Lord. At that time, a large number of players rushed in frantically, bombarded and almost destroyed the entire Hongyi town, and then killed Hongyi. But in this life, Hongyi has not grown up yet, and Ye Chen can completely strangle her in the cradle. Although it is said that the more Hongyi evolves, the better the items exploded. As a reborn person, Ye Chen can actually fatten her up and kill her. But the current situation is beyond his control. The contribution list is about to be refreshed, and he must kill Hongyi now. Hearing Ye Chen's words, Hongyi suddenly lost her composure and stood up. Since you know my secret, just wait for death. Hongyi shouted coldly, and her beautiful and charming face suddenly became tangled, looking hideous and terrifying. She stretched her slender hand into the void, and then a delicate staff appeared out of thin air and was held in her hand. This small and exquisite staff was very delicate and unique. Compared with ordinary staffs, it had a crescent-shaped hook at the end. The hook seemed very sharp and flashed with cold light. Her delicate fingers gently wiped it, and blood oozed out. Then, she used blood as a medium and began to cast a spell and chant. When she cast the spell, a pile of red leaves rose up around her body to surround her, so that her spell would not be interrupted by anyone. Suddenly, everyone felt the ground shaking. Upon closer inspection, it was the red leaf trees that were shaking. Not only the ones in the courtyard, but also the red leaf trees on both sides of the streets in the entire red leaf town seemed to have been summoned by something, as if they were alive, and began to shake wildly. So many red leaf trees shook at the same time, shaking the earth and mountains, making the entire red leaf town like waves, shaking wildly. Red leaves fell down, covering the sky and the sun, and the overall vision of Red Leaf Town suddenly became dark, like purgatory. Outside the mansion, seeing this strange phenomenon, Shueisha's pupils shrank. When he browsed the detailed information of the task, he also vaguely felt that this task was very dangerous, but he didn't expect it to be so terrifying. Immediately, he smiled again. It happened that facing such a powerful boss, Ye Chen must not be distracted, so that his chances would be greater. With a slight smile, Shueisha pulled out a dagger and stabbed the trunk of a nearby red leaf tree with both hands. Unexpectedly, blood flowed out. At the same time, the red leaf tree began to struggle violently, and soon shrank and fell to the ground, and died directly. This. Shueisha was shocked. On the other side, Ye Chen obviously knew that the red leaf trees were at their most vulnerable now. They were in the process of evolution, and once the red leaf chanting ended, the red leaf trees would become terrible red leaf tree spirits. Ye Chen could ignore other red leaf trees, but he was quite afraid of the abnormally huge red leaf tree in front of him. The red leaf trees on the street were just ordinary monsters after they became red leaf tree spirits. The other thick red leaf trees in the compound would become elite monsters. The giant tree in front of us is the real red leaf tree king, a lord-level boss. Focus. Ranged professions attack this giant tree, Ye Chen shouted loudly. The shaking of the earth made everyone stagger, and they were completely confused when they saw the scene in front of them. At this moment, they were awakened by Ye Chen's shout, and the ranged professions began to cast spells to attack. Armor-piercing arrows. Multiple arrows. Explosive fire spells. Sea of fire. Ice spears. Boom boom boom. Countless skills exploded on the giant tree like fireworks, and suddenly there was an old howl in the void, which was creepy. However, the boss is still the boss after all. Everyone attacked hard, but only opened a big hole in its chest, but failed to kill it. The next moment, Hong Yi stopped singing. Almost at the same time, the shaking of the ground stopped, but there was a terrifying sound like the roar of a group of monsters. All the red leaf trees turned into terrifying red leaf tree spirits, and the giant tree turned into the red leaf tree king. On its head, where the trunk and branches were connected, an old and ugly human face appeared. At the same time, its body became much stronger. The bottom few branches crawled out of the ground like tentacles and danced wildly, which meant that it had a certain ability to move. "Stupid guys, I will bury you with my own hands." Hong Yi sneered, and as soon as the voice fell, the red leaf tree king stretched out a branch to gently wrap her around, and then dragged her over and let her sit on the trunk above his head. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, Ba Wang Shi-san. Chapter 97. Seeing this, Ye Chen gritted his teeth in frustration. With Hong Yi's current state, it's a bit difficult to fight. Melee professions can't reach it, and the attacks of ranged professions will be blocked by the Red Leaf Tree King. "Stupid guys, die." Hong Yi snorted coldly and waved her staff lightly. A large number of red leaves on the Red Leaf Tree King flew out, like a group of red butterflies circling around her, and then like a sharp flying knife, from top to bottom, sweeping at the people below without dead angles. Swish, swish, swish. Ye Chen and others were swept by the red leaves all over the sky, and their HP dropped wildly. They quickly knocked off a bottle of instant recovery potion. Just then, the Red Leaf Tree King stretched out a thick branch, like a long whip, and smashed it down. About 7 or 8 people were hit, and half of them died instantly. "System, your teammate Crazy is dead." "System, your teammate Wild Growth is dead." The teammate's death notification kept coming, and Ye Chen made up his mind and said, "Don't move, fire energy explosion." From the current situation, if you want to kill Hong Yi, you must first kill the Red Leaf Tree King. Since there is no choice, you can only force a wave. Budong nodded when he heard it, and decisively raised the giant shield and rushed forward. At the same time, a strong suction came from his body, and the body of the Red Leaf Tree King was dragged forward uncontrollably. He walked halfway, and the Red Leaf Tree King was dragged halfway by the strong suction. The two sides faced each other, and suddenly, flames appeared on Budong's body, and a powerful explosion broke out. Boom! -5,800. Fire energy explosion is an additional skill of Budong's gold equipment explosive flame armor, and it is also the ultimate secret of the gold boss flame giant. One move directly exploded the Red Leaf Tree King for more than 5,000 HP, and reduced its HP by nearly 1/3. And the Red Leaf Tree King, because it was beaten by a wave of long-range attacks before evolution, its HP was not full, and now it was attacked by a strong attack, and it was only left with more than 3,000 HP. Break the martial arts. Poison. The Red Leaf Tree King was stunned for a second, and Ye Chen took the opportunity to apply the buff and rushed forward to deal crazy damage. After all, the Red Leaf Tree King is also a level 15 Lord boss, and is good at defense. The damage Ye Chen dealt to it is still very high, but not fatal. The opportunity has come outside the courtyard. Shueisha smiled coldly, used stealth invisibility, and rushed to the battlefield in front without making a sound. He was very fast and rushed into the battlefield in a few seconds. In the darkness, he raised his dagger and pounced forward suddenly, licking Ye Chen's neck with the sharp dagger. That's right, he recognized that Ye Chen was the anonymous coward in his mouth. Because except for Ye Chen, the other thieves in this team, including Xiao Qi, were all noobs in his eyes. Of course, even Ye Chen was just a slightly stronger noob to him, and he could kill him in a minute. At this moment, he was about to use the throat-slitting skill. Generally speaking, when a thief is in stealth, he will start with a club, stun the enemy, and then kill him in one move. However, if the target of the assassination is a human, the strategy can be changed. Because the human race has the talent of firm will and can be immune to control once, so Susha judged that it is enough to use throat slitting. Other thieves may not be able to kill people with one throat slitting because of insufficient damage, but he does not have to worry, because his throat slitting is LV5. At this stage, even if the one-hit kill special effect is not triggered, it can easily kill a thief in 1 second. Ye Chen has no perception at present. He does not feel the danger coming, and still attacks the Red Leaf Tree King. Suddenly, the Red Leaf Tree King stretches out a branch and shoots at him. At the same time, Susha also flew over, and the cold dagger is no more than 1 yard away from Ye Chen's fragile throat. Under the double attack, Ye Chen only has the branches that fall on his eyes, and his body suddenly turns. Bang! The thick branches of the Red Leaf Tree King fell to the ground, and while raising dust, a big mist popped out. In addition, there was another mist popped out. Huh! Ye Chen's pupils shrank, and his already tense nerves became even more tense. He had obviously only avoided the attack of one Red Leaf Tree King, so it was impossible for him to miss twice. The only possibility was that there was another person hiding in the dark who was also attacking him, but he happened to avoid it. Thief. Blood kill. Because he had expected it, Ye Chen reacted in an instant and used poison mist, which quickly spread 5 yards. Bloodkill immediately received 100 points of fixed damage, and his figure appeared in the poison gas. He was tall and straight, wearing a tight leather armor that hid the light on the surface of his equipment. This showed that he had the basic qualities of a thief, but he had a handsome face that was tainted with evil spirits, and was full of arrogance. This made him look not like a thief, but like an assassin, a natural assassin, with the temperament of a killing god. Shit luck. After being forced to reveal his true form, Shueisha snorted disdainfully. His killing move just happened to collide with the troublesome boss. Ye Chen dodged the boss's attack, and by the way, he also dodged his attack, by the way. Shueisha looked depressed. Damn it, this kid's luck is too damn good. If the boss's attack was a little slower, this kid would definitely die, and his chief would be a foregone conclusion. However, reality is full of twists and turns, and it is not satisfactory. After being depressed for half a second, Shueisha quickly restrained his emotions, tightened the dagger in his hand, and rushed towards Ye Chen again at an amazing speed. PK with a super strong man of Shueisha's level, Ye Chen's heart was quietly boiling. Although Shueisha is still a little behind the God of Thieves in his peak period, he is definitely a top-tier strong man in the Chinese theater. Ye Chen is now full of fighting spirit. Just as Shueisha rushed over, Ye Chen directly summoned Lisa and blocked him in front of him. Shueisha chuckled, not taking it seriously at all, and directly hit Lisa's head with a club, -389. Shueisha's damage is very high, and one blow made Lisa's health residual and made her dizzy. At this moment, he could take Lisa away with a casual knife, but it happened unexpectedly. Lisa triggered the soul stealing, which made him fall into a state of confusion. The state of confusion is also another kind of control. Shueisha's talent of firm will is automatically activated and released from the state of confusion. That's right, Shueisha is also a human. In fact, not only Bloodkill, but also some high-end thieves will choose the human race first. Because for thieves, the talents of other races are not as good as the firm will of the human race. Is he lucky, or am I unlucky? Bloodkill muttered to himself, using a killing move that was accidentally avoided by someone, hitting a rubbish beautiful snake pet, and actually triggering her rubbish passive? It's really hummed up. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 98. I really don't believe this evil. Searched Can on Google. Shueisha did not expect that Ye Chen's Lisa was not an ordinary beautiful snake, but a special pet with a soul seduction skill reaching LV10. What is the concept of LV10? For players at this stage, almost every fight triggers the trigger. However, Shueisha didn't know it. With a swipe sound, he slashed Lisa again. Lisa, who was still alive, died immediately and turned into white light and dissipated. However, he was also tragic and fell into chaos again. Where is the Tibetan Mastiff? I want. Son, Shueisha roared in his heart before losing consciousness. Later, he fell into chaos, sometimes swaying from side to side, sometimes picking his ears and nose, and his majestic image of a super strong man completely collapsed. Oh no, isn't this the master of blood killing? He is indeed the master of blood killing. What is he doing? Dancing. Dancing in front of the boss. Is he sick? Everyone opened their mouths in surprise, with disbelief on their faces. The god of blood killing. A super powerful person in the Chinese theater. There are hundreds of millions of players in the whole of China, and there are more people than him who are more awesome than him, and they can't be counted on one hand. This is the kind of existence I am. Appearing in front of them and dancing with them, how could they not be excited? Can you not be excited? Next, something even more surprising happened to them. Yuchen suddenly took action, using 2 normal attacks and wiping his throat, and directly took the blood away. In terms of technique, that is, operation and awareness, compared to top players such as Shueisha, Mingtian, Huo Wu, and Guilty, the current Yechen may still be lagging behind. But in terms of attack power and damage, he is not bad at all, it can even be said to be perfect. Ordinary thieves, and even assassins, what they pursue is a set of seconds after sap. But Yuchen, as a reborn person, has Xiao He to help him. If he only pursues this, it would be too low. What does a set of seconds mean? His ultimate pursuit is to move in seconds. My day. Everyone was immediately confused. They had been besieging the Red Leaf Tree King before. They didn't know what happened to Yechen and Shueisha, but now what is certain is that Yechen killed Shueisha. Baiyun City, Resurrection Point. Impossible, this is unscientific. Shueisha sat down on the ground. Until now, he can't believe that he actually died. At this moment, Mingtian sent a message. They were still in a team state, so the blood kill was dead. He received the system prompt immediately. Haha, you actually died. Aren't you invincible? Mingtian teased with a smile. Shueisha told what happened, shook his head and sighed, I stepped on shit yesterday, so bad luck today. It's not just luck, haven't you noticed yet? His beautiful snake may not be an ordinary beautiful snake. You must know that the appearance of special monsters is exactly the same as ordinary monsters, Mingtian said. Shueisha was stunned. He didn't think so much when he was angry before, but now that he thinks about it, he feels that what Mingtian said is very reasonable. You know, the ordinary beauty snake's seduction skill is only LV1, and the probability of triggering it is not high. It is not impossible to trigger it twice in a row, but that probability, he is more willing to believe that Yuchen's beauty snake is a special monster. I told you a long time ago that he is not an ordinary turtle, but you still don't believe it. Mingtian said, his name is Yechen? He is such an interesting guy. He can complete S-level tasks, steal things from the high priest, capture special pets, and kill you alone, all this shows his incompetence. Ordinary. The bloody battle was speechless. Luck can be regarded as a kind of strength. If he lost, he was defeated. There was nothing to say. How about it, do you want me to accompany you to take revenge? To tell you the truth, their boss has already reached the second half of the fight. It's too late for us to go now. The bloody killing was once again depressing. In the later stages of the game, player attributes were enhanced, and the movement speed of the mount was increased, making it possible to come and go freely in many places. But now, It takes half an hour to go from Bayun City to Hongyi Town. If he rushes there now, Yuchen and the others have already finished pushing the boss. Then there's nothing we can do. He will definitely be the chief this month, and he will be the first to switch to assassin duty. Mingtian didn't blame Shueisha, but he was really depressed when he thought that he and Shueisha, the two giants, would be overtaken by a little-known figure like Ye Shen. On the other side, Ye Chen and others are also at the final stage of pushing the boss. The Red Leaf Tree King has been killed, and of course, nearly half of the team has also died. At this time, Hong Yi lost the protection of the Tree King and seemed a little panicked. Her greatest and proudest ability is the ability to control red leaf trees and the red leaves on the trees. After the Tree King died, her strength suddenly dropped, and she tried to rush towards the other red leaf tree spirits. However, the elite monsters in the courtyard had already been cleared by everyone. Unless she ran outside the courtyard, she could find support again. But everyone would not give her a chance. Led by Yuchen and Fudo, the remaining team members swarmed up and quickly killed her. System, congratulations on completing the A-level mission of assassinating Master Hong Yi. You will receive a reward, 300,000 experience points, 1 silver coin, and 1,500 contribution points. System, your ranking on the Assassin's League's contribution list has changed and is now, No. 1. 2 consecutive system prompts came, and Ye Chen felt refreshed. Now his alliance contribution was ranked first. In a few hours, after midnight in the morning, he would be able to change his job and become an assassin. Brother Ye Shen, you actually killed the blood killer alone. I really didn't expect that. Even now, Budong Rushan was still shocked. The rest of the people had the same expression. They knew Ye Chen was very powerful, but they didn't expect that he could actually kill blood killer. It's just luck. Ye Chen laughed, very happy. He was originally full of fear of blood killer. He was really nervous about whether he could grab the top spot among the blood killers. Who knew that his luck was so good that he happened to avoid the killing move of the god, and then used Lisa to sneak a trick, which was really cool. But he knew that he would not be so lucky next time. Through this battle, the opponent must have guessed Lisa's extraordinariness and would definitely think of a targeted method. But when the two sides meet again next time, Ye Chen will be different. At that time, he will be a hidden professional assassin. What is there to be afraid of? Ye Chen was in a good mood. He casually glanced at the items dropped by Hong Yi and Hong Yi Tree King. He found that the two purple equipments were not what he could use, so he gave them to Budong frankly. Seeing that he was about to give money again, he quickly refused and said, "Forget it this time. After all, I asked you to help with the mission, and you caused many people to die. I will remember this favor and return it to you when I have the chance." Ye Chen smiled and was about to say goodbye and leave, but he caught a glimpse of an inconspicuous blood-red seed among the items dropped by Hong Yi. Uncontrollably, Ye Chen's heart began to beat wildly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 99. Could it be? Ye Chen suppressed his pounding heart and glanced over. Unknown seeds, special items unidentified. Ye Chen sweated a little. In Dream World, some items, including equipment, materials, skill books, etc., have a small number of special existences, which cannot be identified by the player's recognition alone, and professional appraisers are needed to identify them. The cost of identification fluctuates according to the true value of the item. The better the item, the more expensive the identification fee. Seeing that Budong and others did not notice the seed, Ye Chen calmly turned on automatic pickup and swept away some items including the seed. Okay brothers, contact me if you have anything. Ye Chen laughed and said to Budong Rushan, Budong, don't fall behind in your level. The first kill of the hell level in the novice village and Tauren tribe is still waiting for us. Level 15, once we upgrade our equipment, we will kill it. Okay. Badong and his men said excitedly. For them, the first kill of a normal copy is already very cool, and the experience value reward is quite generous, and the hell level is even better. Not only does it have more experience, but also a skill point reward. In the past, they dared not even think about it. Yechen smiled slightly, crushed the teleportation stone directly, and returned to Bayun City. Then, he went straight to the appraisal office. The appraiser of Bayun City is an old man with pale hair and a pair of thick glasses on his nose. He looks quite professional at first glance. Master, please help me identify an item. Yechen was slightly excited and handed over the unknown seed. The old man looked indifferent and calm, but when he saw the blood-red seed in Yechen's hand, his eyes under the frame suddenly shrank, and a gleam of light flashed across his turbid old eyes. He couldn't wait to grab the seed, and the old man stroked and observed it for a while, but he was not in a hurry to identify it. He murmured, "Young man, you have found a treasure." Yechen was delighted. Hearing what the appraiser said, this seed might be the super abnormal thing in his mind. However, he couldn't be sure yet, and some things needed to be identified after the identification was completed. Master, help me identify it. 10 gold coins. The old man glanced at Yechen and smiled. Yechen smiled bitterly. 10 gold coins were 1,000 yuan, which was not much for him. And this seed required such a high identification fee, which further proved its value. However, he had almost no money in his hand now. He had only more than 20 gold coins, and all of them bought level 5 purple clothes, and they were all mailed to the 3 tanks after upgrading. Even the RMB was completely squeezed dry in yesterday's carnival. Seeing that Yechen had no money, the old man's attitude became enthusiastic instead. He smiled and said, "It doesn't matter if you have no money, young man. This is your first time here, and you have helped me a lot, so I will give you a chance." "I have helped you a lot." Yechen was slightly stunned. The old man glanced at him, and after a sneaky look around, he quietly opened his sleeves, and in an instant, a round and bright crystal ball was exposed. Damn! Yechen's face was full of black lines. It turned out that this guy was the one who issued the task of stealing the crystal ball. The old man's face flushed, and he looked at Yechen meaningfully, with an expression of "Don't make it public, you know." "Young man, your method is very clever. When I went to the Assassin Alliance to issue the task, I didn't have much hope. I didn't expect you to complete it. You actually stole the crystal ball from the old man, the high priest." The old man smiled, not hiding his admiration for Yechen at all. Yechen was embarrassed. "Damn it! I stole something. Can you stop praising me like that? I hope you can help me steal again." "I don't need the appraisal fee," the old man said. "Who to steal? What to steal?" Yechen said a little nervously. A LV5 thief is not considered advanced. He stole the crystal ball by trickery. If the target of the theft this time is a high priest, he would rather spend 10 gold coins for appraisal. The old man's breathing was a little rapid. He said, "Widow Lu next door, she help you steal her underwear." Yechen looked contemptuous. Seeing the old man like this, he understood that this master was nothing but a master. "You little brat, I'm not as dirty as you. I don't need underwear, I just need a belly band." The old man blushed and said, "And it's not Widow Lu, but her daughter." "Tisk tisk, pervert." Yechen shook his head repeatedly. "This old bitch is too shameless. At such an old age, it's understandable that he's flirting with Widow Lu, but don't stare at young girls. In real life, he always sees some news about the strongest principle." He didn't expect to meet such a top-notch person when playing a game. Do it or not, just one word, being despised by Yechen, the old man was also angry. Do it, Ye Chen responded readily. It's just a game, why should he be so serious? Just stealing a belly band can save 1000 yuan. It's such a good thing, why not do it? Then, the old man gave instructions on related matters. After listening to him, Ye Chen sneaked and invisible and moved towards Widow Liu's house. The husband of Widow Liu was once a powerful warrior of the light camp, but he died on the battlefield and his family fell into poverty. Widow Liu and her lovely daughter were afraid that they could no longer afford to live in the city and would soon have to move to a small town below the city. The game world is also very cruel. Ye Chen sighed slightly and walked directly to his sister-in-law Yang's room, and the fragrance immediately hit his nostrils. Sister-in-law Yang was not at home, so he went directly to the closet and looked in from the outside. He could find the belly band the old man wanted. It was red and very beautiful. Thief. Ye Chen directly used his skills, but failed several times in a row. This made Ye Chen a little surprised. Although a LV5 thief is not very high, he should be able to steal something with no attributes like a belly band. The only explanation is that this belly band is not extraordinary. It seems that I mistakenly blamed the old man. Ye Chen smiled, continued to use skills, and finally stole the cute belly band before the stealth cooled down. After sniffing for a while, Ye Chen turned around and went out, finding the old man again. Young man, I saw you right, the old man laughed loudly and took the belly band from Ye Chen. There was no obscenity in his eyes, he was studying the material of the belly band. You know, Widow Liu's man has some friendship with me. This belly band is his relic. It was obtained from the dark camp. The old man looked sad and said, seeing that their family is forced by life, I am also quite sad. If that little girl has talent, I can teach her this appraisal technique. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 100. When Ye Chen heard this and looked at the old man's expression, he knew that he had triggered another follow-up task. But he didn't want to do any tasks now. Just identify the seeds for me first. Young man. The old man wanted to say more, but Ye Chen interrupted him and said, Okay, master, we'll talk later. Let's identify the seeds first. Reminded by Ye Chen, the old man laughed awkwardly, then reached out and stroked the seeds. Suddenly, the seeds suddenly burst out with a magnificent blood-red energy. Blood tree seed, special item master recognizing item, sucking blood to grow, and giving back to its master node, upgradable and growable. It's really a blood tree. Ye Chen couldn't suppress his ecstasy at all, and he cried out in surprise. In the previous life, the players killed the Gold Lord Hong Yi, who had evolved to level 30, and exploded this blood tree seed. But the Hong Yi he killed had not grown up yet, and was only a level 15 lord. Unexpectedly, it also exploded. I have to say that he was very lucky. Speaking of this blood tree, there is also a legend that is not considered a legend. In the previous life, a player picked up this blood tree seed, and finally recognized the master by dripping blood, and cultivated the blood tree into a holy level tree demon. Then, he resolutely rushed into the dark camp, and led the tree demon that was bigger than a building to slaughter crazily. That battle was bloody. The tree demon waved thousands of branches at the same time, beating the players of the dark camp like dogs, and they couldn't raise their heads. In the end, he and the tree demon directly captured the town attached to the LV5 main city. What is the concept of capturing a town? It means to kill all the NPCs in the town. At that moment, a huge crystal will appear in the center of the town. After the crystal is exploded, the next moment, the system will refresh the town crystal that belongs to you. It will even help you refresh the dilapidated town and the dead NPCs, and those NPCs will all obey you. In other words, you are the master of this town. From this moment on, the system will give you 10% of the revenue of all the shops in the town. 10%. In the later period, after Dream World became completely popular, the traffic of people in some towns and villages near some popular maps was very large. Players bought weapons, materials, consumables, and even the money from selling junk equipment, and you will get dividends. Not to mention every day, every minute of the income is very considerable. If you still feel it is not enough, you can even set a passing fee. From then on, any player other than you, even if they just pass by your town, you can collect money, and you can set the price at will. It's a one-time deal. You can come or not. I am so arrogant, so awesome. Of course, attacking the city is difficult, and defending the city is even more difficult. Once any main city, including its affiliated towns and villages, becomes privately owned, the rest of the players will kill all NPCs again, force out the crystal and destroy the crystal. Whoever destroys the crystal will be the new owner of the town. Such huge profits will inevitably attract crazy competition from all forces. After all, this is all money. Therefore, it is not easy to be the master of a town. Generally speaking, being the city lord, town mayor or village chief for a few minutes is already very impressive. If you are powerful and particularly powerful, you can hold on for a few hours, which is very good, and the income is off the charts. However, that person, relying on the tree demon, managed to hold on for a whole day. At that time, countless strong men from the three major camps of light, darkness, and neutrality rushed out like angry dragons, fighting bloody battles with him and the tree demon, and the world was dark. That battle completely shocked the whole country. Even some foreigners were beating their drums when they heard the news. Damn, fortunately this tree demon is only at the saint level. If it reaches the god level, how can it be played? He is so awesome that he makes foreigners terrified, but he is still greedy and looks down on the income of the town. After guarding for a day, he resolutely gave up the town and went to attack the main city of the Dark Camp madly. He was too arrogant, and in the end it was tragic. A god-level player couldn't stand it and killed the tree demon with a sword. The tree demon has only one life, and it cannot be resurrected after it dies. In addition, the feedback power he got from cultivating the tree demon also disappeared completely. He fell from heaven to hell in an instant, and his life was worse than death. In the end, he was depressed and retired from the game world. Compared with the thief god who rose against the sky after suffering cold eyes, abuse, and blows, he was a negative example and did not deserve the word legend. I heard that the god-level player was quite sad later, saying that as long as he was a little low-key, he would have a brilliant tomorrow after being promoted to the god level, and even win glory for the country. It's a pity that he failed and couldn't stand the blow, so he retired from the game. There was no news about him in the world. However, this life is different from the previous life. Now, it is Yechen who got the blood tree seed. He will definitely not be as impulsive and jumpy as that SB. On the contrary, he will learn lessons, proceed step by step, and take every step carefully. He himself is a reborn, and with the help of Xiaohe, he has an advantage against the sky in the early stage. Others, some great gods can reach the god level, so can he. Even tree demons can rise to the god level. By then, he will dominate the three major camps, and will send troops into foreign countries to beat those foreigners to their knees and call them daddy. Although it is still very far away from that time, just thinking about it makes him tremble and spasm with excitement. Young man, make good use of this seed. You will gain great power, but you need to keep your heart. The old man sighed and said softly, because too much power will produce inner demons. If there is a deviation in your character, you will definitely be doomed. Yechen heard the words and quickly calmed down the restlessness in his heart. The so-called inner demon does not actually exist, but is the evil thought turned into by people's paranoia. That guy in his previous life couldn't suppress the greed and rage in his heart, which swelled and eventually became a tragedy. But after Yechen's rebirth, he has a restrained and calm personality, and he has learned from past mistakes, so his future will be very bright, brighter than ever before. Haha, don't be nervous, young man. As long as you stick to your heart, your future will be limitless. I look forward to the day when you become the marshal of the light camp. The old man smiled and said, "Now, you should cultivate this blood tree seed first. When you are done, remember to come to me. I still have a task for you." Since the old man dared to steal the high priest's things, he was obviously extraordinary. Ye Chen did not dare to be too presumptuous, so he nodded politely, said goodbye and left. When he came to the store, he spent some copper coins and bought a flower pot 1 yard in diameter and a large number of empty bottles.